14 German fighters closing in fast, a formation of bombers leaking fuel and flames, and one pilot who threw out the rulebook and told his crew to hang on tight because he was about to try something unheard of in the skies over Europe. They called him crazy. 5 minutes later, they were still breathing, and the Luftwaffe had a fresh horror story to share. Imagine this: a lone Mustang pilot tangling with more than 30 enemy planes for half an hour over Germany. As one wartime reporter put it, the greatest fighter pilot tale of the Second World War. The winter of 1943 bit hard into every airman based in England. Ice coated the windows, breath clouded the oxygen masks. Down below, Britain's patchwork fields vanished under December mist, and up high, the vapor trails of 1,000 bombers etched pale streaks across the ashen sky of battle. This marked the peak of the combined bomber offensive. The 8th Air Force had pledged to daylight precision strikes, a strategy born from American boldness and the belief that the Norden bomb site could nail a pickle barrel from 20,000 feet. On paper, fleets of B-17 flying fortresses would surge over occupied Europe, smash German war factories, and head back shielded by their own heavy guns. In reality, it turned into a bloodbath. German fighters ripped into the bomber groups with calculated fury. Messerschmitt Bf-109s and Focke-Wulf FW-190s soared up, lined up head-on, and charged at the formations with closing speeds topping 500 miles per hour. The frontal assault became the hallmark move of the Luftwaffe day fighter units. It was savage, effective, and crushed spirits. The bombers lacked forward guns. Their nose turrets held twin 50 caliber machine guns, but gunners got mere seconds to spot, aim, and shoot before the foe zipped by or crashed through. Most B-17s fell without touching their attackers. The gunners sensed it, grasped it, and the Germans exploited it. By December, some raids saw loss rates over 20%. Whole squadrons vanished above the Ruhr Valley or the rail hubs at Schweinfurt. Crews endured their tours in grim resignation, tallying flights like jail time, aware the chances leaned against making it. Into this hell stepped thousands of young men fresh to war, some kids from Iowa, auto workers from Detroit, college quitters and mill hands who signed up or got pulled into a conflict that shoved them into metal cylinders to soar into flak storms. They mastered tight formations, air supply control, and firing through iced gloves. But surviving a head-on rush had no guidebook, just fate and fortune. The 8th Air Force tested strategies, denser groups, varied heights, escort fighters when fuel permitted. Yet in late 1943, the P-47 Thunderbolts and P-38 Lightnings scarcely crossed the German line before heading home. The bombers ventured solo into the Reich's core, where the Luftwaffe lurked. The noise overwhelmed, otherworldly, a thunder of Wright Cyclone engines at steady throttle. The clatter of turrets pivoting on bearings, the snap of intercom voices spotting foes, then the shriek of plunging fighters, the pounding rhythm of 20mm cannons tearing aluminum, the dull smack of bullets striking bodies, and at times, the eerie quiet when a motor quit, or a wing buckled, and a bomber spiraled earthward. It was amid this forge that Major James Howell Howard launched his 23rd mission. James Howell Howard hardly seemed the type to reshape air combat. He was reserved, methodical, a ponderer over a braggart. Born in Canton, China, in 1913 to missionary folks, he grew up amid tongues, traditions, and endless flux. His dad led a health clinic, his mum ran classes. Howard witnessed people fix issues with scant supplies and zero safety nets. He came back to America for school, started at Pomona in pre-med, but flying tugged harder than medicine. In 1937, he dropped out and entered the Navy as a flight trainee. He flunked out, not from poor talent, but a small health snag that barred him. It might have stopped there for many. Howard headed to China. He walked back home. Linked up with the American volunteer group, the Flying Tigers, in 1941, weeks before Pearl Harbor. Led by Claire Lee Chennault, he piloted Curtiss P-40 Warhawks against Japanese raiders and escorts over Burma and South China. The AVG battled short-handed, outmatched, and cut off. No extras, no backups, no room for slips. Living hinged on cleverness, boldness, and forecasting steps ahead. Howard excelled. He harnessed the P-40's edges, its plunge speed, its toughness, its knack for taking hits and staying up. He tempted enemy planes into traps, hid in sun and haze, and always fought dirty. In 6 months, he notched 6 confirmed victories and ranked among the AVG's steadiest flyers. When the Flying Tigers folded in mid-1942, Howard went stateside and joined the Army Air Forces. He figured on Pacific duty. Instead, they sent him to the 8th Air Force in England as a fighter ace with the 356th Fighter Squadron within the 354th Fighter Group. They handled P-51 Mustangs, nimble long-haul birds that would later star as top guardians. But in late 1943, the Mustang fleet stayed slim. The bomber push hit full stride, and casualties climbed. Howard outaged most peers. At 30, he was a seasoned hand among 22-year-olds. He skipped heavy booze or wild chases. He pored over debriefs. He probed for answers. He viewed in patterns, how foes shifted, how squads meshed, where weak spots hid. His comrades admired him, but puzzled over him. He was steady, serene, and strangely bold in a manner that felt computed over cocky. He piloted like solving a puzzle mid-air. On January 11th, 1944, Howard got tasked to guard a bomber wave hitting German plants near Oschersleben, far in central Germany. It pushed range limits. The fighters barely had gas to link up, linger briefly, and dash to England before tanks emptied. Howard lifted off in morning chill, joined his team, and ascended to the bomber flow. He had zero clue that soon he would stand solo over Germany, facing a call, no playbook readied. The raid cracked 20 minutes shy of the mark. Clouds thickened above the North Sea, sight lines faded. Comms frayed as units strained to keep eyes on each other. The bomber line strung out, lost unity, and turned easy prey. Then initial German fighters emerged. They rose in 4s and 6s from the murk, slotting ahead of the heavies. The Luftwaffe had homed intercepts to a danced slaughter. Fighters ascended front and up, flipped upside down, and plunged nose first through the group. The rush speed left gunners scant reaction, and the focused barrage, shells and bullets zeroing one bomber, often doomed it. The P-51 guards clashed. Skirmishes flared sky-wide. Pilots split to hunt threats or shield hit bombers. Soon the tidy escort setup melted to mayhem. Howard's unit drew into a chase with Focke-Wulf 190s. He shot, twisted, and held between foes and bombers, but numbers doomed it. Too many Germans, too few allies. Fuel ticked critical. Each fight gulp drained irreplaceable drops. Then Howard glanced up and spotted them. A cluster of B-17s, maybe 30 strong, split from the pack and veering west. They floated unguarded, no escorts near, and below, coiling up slow, at least a dozen German fighters prepping to pounce. Howard gauged his gas, checked his spot. Tried radioing his team. Crackle only. He swept the heavens for more P-51s. Empty. The bombers had moments before the strike. If Howard peeled off, home might await. If he dove in solo, odds topped 10-1. And once the Luftwaffe clocked him as lone wolf, they would mob him. No manual touched this. No drill prepped it. Pure raw math. Ditch them or duel. Howard ran the power full and dove at the bombers. The Germans held back from full charge, still aligning, signaling, framing the rush. Howard held one edge. Shock. They never dreamed a single Mustang would defy a whole wing. He shrank the gap quick. The bomber swelled in his view. He noted bore turrets spinning, side gunners following arcs, the group huddling tighter against the low peril. Then the lead German pack split and dove. Howard banked sharp, drew aim, and unleashed. His tracers sliced air and nipped a Messerschmitt wing. The fighter veered, smoking. The rest scattered. Doubt swept the German ranks. One guard should pose no issue, but Howard skipped guard play. He flew like stakes meant nothing, and angles were his ally. The Luftwaffe regrouped. They surged repeatedly. Front rushes, side slashes, overhead plunges. Howard countered each with blasts in turns. He shunned chasers, stayed bomber close and turned himself the hurdle every German had to clear first. And then, he pulled the unforeseen. He slipped into the bomber heart. 1943 fighter rules were plain. Guards orbited outside. They scouted edges, tops, entry paths. They snagged foes pre-reach. Tight guards seemed weak, idle, futile. No one nested inside. Peril soared too steep. Bombers hugged wing to wing with slim aerospace. Prop wash and drafts built unseen air barriers. A fighter snagged could spin out, smash, or catch friendly lead. Bomber shooters learned to blast any quick mover in reach. Ally or enemy, if near and swift, they fired. But Howard grasped what rule makers missed. The German front charge needed clean lane, top speed, clear shots. If a defender parked square before the bombers, between hunters and hunted, attackers faced break or gamble head, smack, with an armed rival at over 600 miles per hour combined. Howard eased his Mustang to the front bomber slot. He cut power to sync pace. He held just forward of the lead B-17, low and mid, his shape stark on the blue. The bomber teams eyed him. They wondered his game. Some guessed lost. Others worried damaged, seeking formation ditch for pickup. A handful gunners locked on habit, digits by triggers, gauging friend or fake. Then Germans rushed anew. 2 Messerschmitts from 11 o'clock high, nose locked, guns primed, prime setup, bombers fixed in rank, no dodge. Closure perfect, but Howard blocked. He stayed put, held to final tick, then spat a quick salvo and yanked left. The front German jerked, twisted, and yanked from the plunge. The next tailed. Neither pushed. Risk peaked. The Mustang barred, and it bit. Howard rose, flipped, and slotted back lead, front and a touch under. The bombers shifted. Pilots got it now. Not a drift, a barrier. Germans mustered, tried flank hits. Howard met lateral, tried steep drops. He climbed, pushed overshoots, tried synced strikes from angles. He spun, shot, broke each. The Luftwaffe pressed on, skilled, driven, stubborn, but bound by laws and caution. Each blocked rush fizzled, each flop drained gas, spirit, ticks. Bomber gunners synced with him, held shots on his moves, cleared rim, radioed dangers, watched his rear, plugged gaps. A wordless, sudden bond bloomed. 1 fighter and 30 bombers, teamed versus odds stacking them. For 30 minutes, Howard battled isolated. He chewed ammo, gulped fuel, absorbed strikes, small rounds piercing hull, grazing vitals by hairs. His motor overheated, palms throbbed, sight narrowed from rush and air lack. But bombers kept shape, and Germans started fade. As Howard's fuel needle hit red, the Luftwaffe quit. Not flight, math. Bombers neared edge. Allied birds do. Odds flipped. German pairs dove low, melted to clouds. Howard eyed their exit. No pursuit. 0 gas. 0 rounds. Bare speed to hang. He nudged his Mustang from the group. The head B-17 rocked wings. Mute thinks. Howard mirrored, leveled, started long coast to England. His engine hacked twice. First. He tweaked mix. Finned max. Nursed 10 more minutes from near void. English shore loomed in fog. He crossed at 2,000 feet, risky low, bailout high, landed first strip. The Mustang halted, motor quit. Howard lingered cockpit, mute as crews dashed up. They tallied holes in wings, tail, body. An engine on vapor and hope. A pilot who ventured deepest, lingered longest under barrage, tangled more than any guard log, but no mark on him. Howard stepped down, penned short fight log. Spoke sparse, noted bombers, Germans move. No fluff, no sure claims. Just facts. Bomber teams spun different yarn. Back at English pads, they briefed intel, retold the run. Painted the solo Mustang, that clung half hour. The flyer who nested in their midst, soaked hits for them. Morphed to live wall, versus German swarm. Gunners pegged over 30 foes tangled. All concurred. Sans that pilot, home stayed dream. Tail raced. Days later, hit 8th Air Force Command. Leaders scanned Howard's words. Matched bomber oaths. Weighed fight shifts. Howard bucked code. Book reckless, but it clicked. In more bleeding bombers from morale and might, outcomes trumped rules. In 1944, James Howell Howard earned the Medal of Honor, sole fighter in Europe theater for the top U.S. award. The praise hailed his guts, talent, selfless shield of bomber kin, but skipped the core. Howard fought logic, not raw heroics. Spotted snag, weighed factors, ran fix no text foresaw, made self-tool via spot, not shots, grasped presence over tallies broke flow, and exposed German tactic hole untapped. The front rush stood Luftwaffe's best versus US day heavies, banked on pace, jolt, bomber forward gun void, but also on mind fact. Guards hovered out, fighters shielded distant, never blocked. Howard smashed that. Weeks post-mission, 8th Air Force drilled escort flyers in near-defense plays, not clone Howard's stand, that courted death, but weave his spot strategy to team guard code. Fighters hugged bombers closer, slotted on likely foe paths. Preempted threats, mere fighter in front rush lane made German pilots pause, shift, bail. Losses dipped, not instant, not lone cause. Long P-51 rolls, better ranks. Luftwaffe where all helped. But near stance shift, risk embrace, disrupt over snag. Stuck as escort staple to war, close. Bomber teams felt it, flew bolder, spoke Howard's run, assign one pilot right spot, right tick, could sway clash. Captured pilot briefs cited US fighters glued to bombers, held under hail, hardened group strikes, tactics slowed intercepts. Cut bite. In grind war, that sufficed. Howard flew more, schooled rookies, honed style, shunned self-hype. Skipped chats or fame hunts. Flew, clashed, lived. War end, 6 Europe wins atop 6 Tigers. Tally modest, next some aces, but digits skipped reach. Showed guts sans logic was din. Logic sans guts, theory. Paired, they swung ends. James Howell Howard outlasted war. Stayed Air Force. Hit Brigadier General. Quit 1966, post near 30 years. Lived low-key in Florida. Spotlight shy. Seldom aired medal mission. Late queries drew he did what spot demanded. Not hero tag. Problem fix. Saw bomber's peril. Defense hole. Plugged. Work owed luck plus skill. But flightmates differed. Saw man drilled to think amid blaze. Stay cool and storm. Strike firm when others froze. Saw one who knew war won not by codes, but snaps to snap them. Howard's that day move. Nesting bomber core to break front hits. Never formal rule. Too peril, judgment heavy, misstep prone. But echoed in fighter lore. Pilots chewed it. Decades on, variants hit global air codes. Howard's mark, not lone play. Mindset, grasp air scrap, not bold solo, but shape, beat, will to claim foe. Blind spot. In vast Second World War air lore, stacks, his name pops less than due. Not showy. No sky-high count, skipped brash ace mold. But bomber teams home January 11th, 1944, new deed, bore it lifelong. Some son named him, some penned thanks years post-war, some retold tale to any ear. For in millions eater war, James Howell Howard showed one soul, one beat, could tilt scales. Not via blasts, not chance, but sharp mix of clear bold, and no bow, to impossible as fact. He passed, in 1995, at 81. Burial drew vets, wingmates, men who rode bombers over Germany 50 years prior. They skipped plays or codes, spoke day lone, Mustang held, when logic yelled flee, and lesson left, war's mightiest tool, not rig, but brain, bold to wield it fresh.